Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Semitic Roots of Maltese podcast, episode number 7. So, it's been a while since we've done an installment of this podcast, and there's various reasons why, but I just haven't been contributing much to the Maltese stuff because I've been trying to run my general website and get that built, but I've had a lot more time lately since the work there, the development work's mostly done for that. So, let's go ahead and dive into this podcast here, just like old times. So, what's on the agenda today? So, we're going to be talking about a special preposition / time word in Maltese that is no longer used in contemporary Maltese, at least not with the up-and-coming generations or any generations. I've never seen anybody write it before. And then we also have expressions, and we have an interesting topic on archaic, on the archaic word of the podcast, and then we will talk about the verb stem at the end, just like old times. So this word, aman, this comes from this Arabic word right here, which is said something like amam. And this in Maltese either means before or ahead of something. So this can mean before, and there are other ways to say before, but this is one of the ways. But it's a rare way, a more peculiar way to say it, and honestly, it's probably poetic at this point. Not really sure if Maltese people would even understand at this point. So you could definitely consider it to be archaic traditional Maltese. So you could say aman al asr, ahead of dinner, because asr is an old word for dinner. And then you can also say feel as well. So aman fil ashia. Ashia is the evening, so you can say aman fil ashia, before evening, or ahead of the evening, if you want to say it that way. And then you also have aman shuhitna. So shuhit is old age, and shuhitna, our old age, or before we get old. And you can also use it in this phrase before. So this literally means before, when you grow up. So aman meta tikber. So it's an interesting word that's died out in Maltese, but it's something that is definitely really cool. And this is why I like doing this kind of stuff and discovering these old words, because Maltese, I'm pretty convinced, was a much richer language than we give it credit for, than what we see today. And this is an interesting one. So this is still used in general Maltese, and it literally means to permit that blah blah, or to let whoever the pronoun and action is do whatever the verb is. So this can probably come off as a form of Maltese, but it's perfectly plain. It's perfectly fine to use this. So hali is the Maltese verb, or hala means to. It can mean to permit. It can mean to allow, and it can. A different form of this can also mean to untie and loosen, but it may be written slightly differently. But this does correspond to the Arabic. The Arabic still uses this verb, and it's alive and well. And so generally, when you say that, you use the word li, as we have here, this note on the side. But in this expression, you don't say it. So you say let me, or you could say so I can go. You could say hali mamur li skola, so I can go to school, or I have to eat so I can go to school. And this isn't the only way to say so that. There's many different ways, but this is just one interesting way that I've actually seen and read Maltese. And just a background as we introduce these words for animals that are no longer used in Maltese today. So we have interesting words. So I do not believe a tiger or even a lion ever existed in Malta, on the island of Malta. Perhaps they were brought over at one point in time. Perhaps whenever Arabic or Islamic dynasty was ruling over Malta at the time that they were ruling over there about 1,000 years ago. These words may have been used. Somebody may have brought these animals from far. It's unknown how these words got into Maltese or how they survived up until the 1940s when the dictionary came out containing these words. And Nemer, plural, emur, tiger, and I believe there's a similar word used in Arabic. And then you have ail or ayul in the plural, which means porcupine. However, in Arabic, it's always kind of funny seeing how words in Arabic how words in Maltese transformed or evolved away from something in Arabic, or how Arabic just went a completely different direction, or how even Maltese went direction. But deer and wild goat, that's wild. I mean, whenever I see words like this, and there's another word, deb or doob or daboob, which is like bear, but it also means other, various things like that. You see these animals and you kind of think, okay, porcupine and a deer, I mean, they both got fur, but then you're just like, wild goat. I just don't get it. But this is how language evolution works. It's a beautiful thing. And then we have the last one here. So dubious or dubious, which would be drabes if you take this, because this IE here is always from an extended elif or a stressed elif. This dubious, I don't even know where this word came from. It's completely, I have literally zero idea. But in Arabic, this apparently means the same, or can, and it also means a rabid dog or brave. So I don't know how often this is used in contemporary Arabic, but I've never seen this word in Maltese ever. It's just some interesting words to use about animals. And today's trilateral root. So this root is an extremely interesting one because it deals with the creation of dough, and it can also deal with shaping or molding an object to the form of something. So this is an interesting root because the word for pasta comes out of this, and the word for pasta is actually slightly different than the word for dough or pastry. So in this verb, ajen, which comes from ein, jim, nun. So ajin and ajn, I've never seen a jn being used before. This means pasta, and excuse me for misspelling this. This is from the other presentation on Mor. So ajn, pasta, so you're talking about, hafna ajn Madinia, different pastas from around the world. And ajin would just be pasta by itself. I've never seen ajn being used by itself like that, so it may be used in only spoken language. I don't know. I've never seen this in written context before. And then you have tajin, which is the act of making pasta. And then you have ajina and ajayen, so different from ajin, where we have it's ajin versus ajina. So ajina is dough, and it's also a pastry. And then ajayen is the plural of pastry, so pastries. And then in the verbal forms, outside of the verbal nouns that we have here, we have int or najen, and then we have majun which is the past participle, which can also act as an adjective. So it's netted. So somebody could be asking about their pasta, what the status of it. Maybe you bought a whole bunch of pasta, and somebody could say, some amount out of 100. You could say 50% margin. Hamistash bilmia margin. 50% netted, 50% formed. And then yintagen, it is kneaded, it is netted, it is shaped. So that's all I've got for you today. Hairleko minareta hayak ojopon. Tilu video like sharada ma habibek o ailek. Thank everybody for watching, and I'll see you all in the next episode of Semitic Roots of Maltese.